today, for the next 3-ish hours, I'll be preparing some food. And you can play the home game. Yes, food is good. I'll be playing the home game. If you have any questions about the ingredients, the recipe, the technique, as long as it's reasonably safe for work, happy to answer any questions. On Fridays on my channel, I do a keto exclusive, a keto only content. Monday is wide open. And yeah, I'm happy to dive deep into the science and the chemistry and the biology for the keto folks out there. But for today, we're going to be making all sorts of yummy, starchy goodness that I will not be tasting, but I'll enjoy the meat. I will enjoy the meat and the salad. I'm Greek. We're going to have a Greek salad. Every salad I make is a Greek salad, right? And I'll be discussing the difference. That mic is loud AF, right? I'm going to tune down that mic a little bit if I can from here. Yeah, I was worried about the mic. Is the mic clipping, or is it just a little too loud AF? Whatever that is. I'm going to go turn down the microphone just a touch, and then we'll get started. Yeah, that mic's going to be clipping like that. Yeah, you did. Okay. Sudeep, welcome. I guess you were here before. Thanks for tuning in. Right, so all the food that I make is Greek food by default, by definition, I guess. There's a few things that are a little contentious when it comes to Greek salad. Again, any salad I make is a Greek salad, but a traditional Greek salad does not have lettuce in it, does not have romaine, but it's a really cheap ingredient. So most places where you go for a authentic-ish Greek salad is stretched a little thinner with the lettuce. If you're a baller and you're rolling, you're flush with green, whatever the cool kids are calling being rich these days, skip the lettuce and just stick to the basic ingredients. But for us mere mortals that need to be a little budget conscientious, either one. Stretching things out with a little bit of lettuce, it's not the end of the world. I'll give you a pass. I'll give you the official Greek card on that. So I've got here about, this is 3.5 pounds, give or take, of chicken thighs. It's kind of a perfect meat for this dish. We always want our chicken to be cooked properly. Salmonella is a terrible thing to have. We want the internal temperature to be around 165 Fahrenheit. But given the temperature this is going to cook at, we're not concerned about this being undercooked. But always check your food, especially chicken and especially pork. And especially ground chicken and ground pork, just because it's easier for those pathogens to get transferred around. I have one last technical question. Is my mouth in sync with the audio?
Nope.
I'm going to fix that right now.
Get back to the cooking.
And then back to the cooking. I don't understand why there's a delay there.
I don't know what's going on.
I know, I'm freaking out too. And they can hear that.
I know.
That is fine. I have properties. I hope people can hear the music though.
I do.
I can fix it post-production. Well, pretend that I'm doing a really, really bad martial arts movie and I'm being overdubbed by somebody that's equally awesome as I am. Very tongue-in-cheek. I will fix the syncing up in post-production, and Shock will be uploading this video as soon as I fix it and send it his way. So, without further ado, we're going to give the chicken a quick little wash. I'm going to throw the rinsed pieces of chicken into this large bowl. Just because I don't want pieces of bloody chicken in the pan. Not only is it unappetizing, it's kind of really gross. And probably unsanitary, maybe even unhealthy. Let's go with all of the above. This question comes up fairly often, and if anyone's a little embarrassed or shy to ask, I'm just going to throw out the common questions that I get. The first one is, when it comes to handling meat, if 165 is the target temperature to be food safe Fahrenheit for most meats, why can we get away with beef being 145? How do we get like blue rare? How can you even get a blue rare steak and it be considered safe? Hashtag wash that chicken. Thanks, Wade. A lot of it has to do with the food handling, and a lot of it has to do with the thickness of the animal skin itself. Like, chickens are small animals, and it doesn't take much for bacteria to penetrate into the muscle. The skin itself isn't that thick on a chicken, and it's easy for some pathogens to get, puncture, for things to get into the tissue. Especially when you grind things up, like ground beef should never be served, and ground meat in general should never be served particularly rare. But when you have something like beef, when you have thick, leathery hide, that's where leather usually comes from. There's a real protective barrier from the delicious meat and the scary outside world. So that's one of the biggest reasons why you can get away with larger animals cooking it more rare. And really, that's the biggest reason. But if there's ever any questions, no matter how inane or how silly you think it might be, please ask. So this chicken is now washed. I'm going to have to drain it. I'm going to pat it dry with a paper towel before I throw it into the old casserole dish.
Yes, pat it dry or else slimy.
Yeah, the drier the meat, especially with skin, the drier it is, the crispier it tends to get. Quicker, easier. Pat that chicken, that's right. And I will be washing my hands many, many, many times on screen. Off screen, but on stream. Is there any interest in a full episode for gyros? And I mean literally start to finish, making your own tzatziki from your own yogurt and making your own gyro meat. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. The yogurt's a little time consuming, but the finished product is it's pretty damn spectacular. It takes I want to say basically no skill. There's really no technique involved, but good Lord, is it impressive. It's really impressive. It's actually kind of hard to screw it up. The trickiest part is making the pitas, and that's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. So Wade, that's an absolutely from you. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Maybe, possibly next week. If not next week, then the week after. I'm going to need my kitchen fairies to acquire some more paper towel for me. But
Okay.
next we have our give or take 2 pounds of potatoes. You can blanch the potatoes. You can basically like pre-boil them a little bit to make them lighter and fluffier. I don't think it's really necessary. I have a couple of notes about the potatoes on here on the website. So I like the russet, or you can use Yukon Gold. I don't like the red or waxy potatoes. I just don't like them. What else do we have? Some people like to coat their potatoes after they're cut up with some sort of cornstarch or semolina flour just to give it a crispier exterior. Again, I don't think it's necessary. Look, I really don't think it's... Thank you. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think that it needs to be done. The other thing of interest is lemon juice. I get disowned by my mom all the time, and today's going to be no exception. I don't like buying bags of lemons because inevitably, invariably, very frequently, I hate being hyperbolic, more often than I'd like to admit, part of that bag gets shoved in the back of the fridge and neglected, and it turns all sorts of colors of the rainbow. I do have a bottle of a real lemon juice, the branded real lemon. I just don't like the way it tastes. So today I'm going to be using 4 or 5 lemons. I bought a bag of lemons. Each medium-sized lemon is good for, I hate measuring like this, but anywhere from 2 to 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. Again, what is the size of a medium lemon? How much liquid are you going to get out of it? How flavorful is your garlic or your onion? I mean, when it comes to produce, it's hard to measure things. So a lot of it comes down to taste. And once you have a little bit of experience with the ingredients, you'll have a much better idea of how much you need, how to adjust, and so on. But the first time you try a recipe, just do your best to follow it by the letter, to the letter. It shouldn't be a disaster. It might not be ideal. Make some notes, and then the second and third times you make it, it'll be much better. And then you can mess around with it and make it your own. But the first time you try a recipe, as long as you trust the source of the recipe, I think my recipes are pretty solid. But that's for my ingredients and my tastes. And your ingredients will be a little different than mine, because I'm streaming from the middle of the frozen wasteland to the north. And our produce is very, very different up here than yours. Like there's an extra U in our chickens, so it's not just color and flavor that have the extra U, it's also chicken. So I think our chickens have a slightly different flavor because of that.
Extra U?
That was a joke. Apparently
I don't get it.
Apparently that was a joke that didn't go over well. Well, Wade thought it was funny, but Wade's good for humoring me. Or he's laughing at me, whatever. Thanks, Wade. I appreciate the effort. If you can't laugh at me, who can you laugh at, right? So I need about... Yeah. No, it was a terrible joke. It was absolutely terrible. I get teased a lot online because I put that extra Canadian or British U in all the words. Now we get it. So up here in Canada, because we spelled color with a U and flavor with a U, chicken, yes, thank you, Wade. Thanks for, I'm convinced that the more you explain a joke, the funnier it gets. And this is a great example. Now the joke is funny. Chicken, right. See, Wade gets it now, and Wade's probably bursting a gut right now laughing because it's so hilarious. Now that it's been explained more. And the more you explain a joke, the funnier it becomes. It's amazing. You should try it sometime. I'm convinced of this. So I'm going to be looking for about 2 pounds of potatoes, give or take now. If I really want, I can bust out my digital scale and we can weigh these potatoes individually. I mean, you really don't need to. But here's your typical, you know, bigger than fist-sized potato. About half a pound, which is about right. Now, allegedly, supposedly, a serving is a 1/4 pound of potato, so half of one of these. Now, let's be honest. If you have Greek lemon potatoes, are you really only going to have half of one of these on your plate? No. You're at least going to have twice as much, if not 4 times as much. So the idea that this recipe being like a good-sized chicken thigh, what do we have in here? 16-ish? Like 2 of these thighs and like a whole potato. The meals we're looking at like 1,000 calories. So this is going to be a really hearty thing. Lots of leftovers though. And these potatoes are very addictive. And addicting. Either one. So I'm going to use about 5 of these potatoes. That's about our 2 pounds. If there's room in the casserole dish that I'm going to cook this in, I can put more potatoes in, or I can do 2 batches and just make sure that I use the whole tray and the extra. Really depends how many people you're cooking for, but for now I'm just going to stick with these 5. I try to do all of my measurements in imperial units, so like pounds and inches. Even folks up here that are closer to my age, being a little over 30. I won't tell if you don't.
2 decades.
By a couple of decades. Yeah.
You look good for 52.
I apparently I look good for 50 something. Where was I? See, I'm old and senile now. Yeah, if there's more room in the casserole dishes, I'll fill it in. Yeah, old. I'll fill in the extra gap, the extra space with more potatoes.
Oh darn.
Oh darn, right? Oh darn, it's more things that I'm not gonna have. I'll have the meat in the salad for sure. Okay, so I'm just going to keep draining off the extra liquid. I'm going to pat this dry. And then I'm going to get all of the ingredients ready. I'm going to get my hands dirty with all sorts of chicken salmonella flavoring. And then we're going to start doing the cooking. Again, this recipe is super simple, and my whole shtick is basic ingredients, no fancy gadgets, no crazy techniques. Some combination of the 3. I do use an immersion blender once in a while. You can use a normal blender. Like a hand mixer is fine, a knife is fine. Mortar and pestle, I rarely use it. Like if I'm grounding up some dehydrated onions, I mean, you can always just buy some onion powder. But in general, I don't use any flashy technique. It's not necessary. And I don't want this to be, like, I'm not going to be the celebrity chef like you'll see on YouTube. I'm not going to be Gordon Ramsay being all dramatic and being amazing with handling everything. I know what I'm doing. It also shouldn't be intimidating. This is supposed to be more conversational and more instructional, something that if you want, you can play along at home. If you want the instructional 10-minute video, there's a ton of cool people on YouTube with amazing looking kitchens. I did record the footage for my kitchen. I'm working with like a 2-foot by 2-foot area plus my stove.
Echo.
Do I have an echo? There should not be an echo. There might be the faintest echo from the TV because this microphone and this camera, the pickup is amazing on it. It's actually kind of scary. Let me know if you can hear the echo. One thing that I do basically once a week on some of my streams, at least one of my streams, I'll weave up bacon. And it's not just because it's awesome and looks amazing and makes the bacon taste better. I do think it's the best way to cook bacon. You get an incredibly consistent product, and it's super, super, super versatile. Okay, I'm just gonna drain this one more time. Squeeze all that chicken broth out of here. I do have a Discord where I encourage people to share what they cooked. You're always welcome to log on and ask me, anything, especially cooking related. And more importantly, the keto stuff is cooking ASMR. I've had requests for that, and I always think people are kidding, but I'm starting to realize that people are serious about that. And there's a real real demand for kitchen ASMR, and I can just very quietly talk into the microphone while I'm smushing around potatoes. It's nice and soothing, isn't it? It's nice and soothing. Rubbing a potato ASMR. Maybe a first on Twitch. Exactly. Smushingpotatoes.com. I love you guys. And for all of the jokes about ASMR, I have found myself tuning into some streams or some YouTube videos where I just watch it as a joke, and after a few seconds I'm just entranced. I'm like, I snap out of that hypnosis, and I'm like, what did I just do for the last half hour?
I like dogs eating food.
So I don't know, maybe there is something to it.
Yeah. Crunching on the thing.
Yeah, the doggo's crunching. It's a good ASMR. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just get a bowl together, and we're going to mix in all of the stuff that goes into the sauce. It's very, very basic stuff. It's very much in the Greek palate. So we've got our rosemary, we've got our oregano, we got salt and pepper, we got garlic, we've got a really, really, really hot measuring spoon. Some pepper. Again, it's really, really basic stuff. So I need about a teaspoon of dried rosemary. In general, we should not measure things over our bowl that we're mixing, where we're mixing things. I mean, the first ingredient you can measure on top, because if you spill any, you spill some, who cares? But it's a good habit to get into. Just only measure things off to the side, because if you spill, you can make a little mess on your counter, but you're not gonna ruin the mixture. Yeah, a few years ago we had DJ Nuvo's sister made a wonderful Christmas turkey, And we couldn't tell where the Christmas tree ended and the turkey began because of the amount of rosemary on it. And the Christmas tree continued. So there was rosemary everywhere. Tasted amazing. It was a little too much. Just a little. So she's been off of the rosemary. She's been out of Team Rosemary for the last, I think, 2 years now. Maybe 4. So hopefully this is not too much for her.
Do you like grape leaves?
Do I like grape leaves? Yes. For dolmades, absolutely. Heaping tablespoon of Greek oregano. This stuff seems to be spicier, a little hotter than the normal oregano that you get from your little oregano leaves. Yeah. This is actually not the Crinos. What's in here was from a deli in Montreal that a client of mine gave to me. And I think I'm dangerously out after this, so I'm going to need to acquire some more. Oh yeah, that is my channel. It's the Vlahos. All of my contact info is on my about page, as we like to say up here in Canada land. Apparently I do say about, and it's
not as much as a boat.
About. Yeah. Need a tablespoon of salt. Normally, most recipes will call for kosher salt. I like my pink Himalayan stuff. It's a tablespoon of salt. One of these days I will do the deep dive into the different types of salt, but basically what it comes down to is, does the salt need extra iodine, and how big are the salt crystals? That's pretty much the only things that you have to worry about. And when you're using kosher salt, you usually need to use a little more than you do for iodized table salt. If you're talking about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons, or maybe even up to a tablespoon, it's pretty much interchangeable. And of course, you always want to adjust. Can't adjust the mixture once it's mixed in with the raw chicken. And tasting this the way it is, it's kind of meaningless. So, but you're better undersalting than oversalting your food, because you can always add some later. Your guests can always add some salt. It's really hard to remove salt. 1 teaspoon of ground pepper. Now, if you have a pepper mill very much like this, from not my sponsor, Kirkland, not yet. Not yet. There's a really cool feature. Oh, ASMR time. There's a cool feature in this lid where you grind so I have this handy dandy amount ground up into my cap. That's most of a teaspoon. I'm going to put in just a few more cracks. I needed about a teaspoon of pepper. And again, your mileage will vary depending on how fresh your pepper is, because these peppercorns aren't the Kirkland peppercorns. These were purchased. These were purchased online recently, and they were vacuum sealed. These are really, really fresh yet dried peppercorns. They're very pungent, very flavorful. So this is going to be very peppery. Again, follow the recipe as best you can the first time you make it. Jot down some notes. Second or third time, make your adjustments. Woo! Thanks for the cheers. Loki Doom 666. Horns up. And Proem, thanks for those bits. We absolutely need to keep Mars Perzelot in the catnip. And yes, we do. Just a pinch of cayenne pepper. Got some cayenne pepper, just a pinch. In case anybody doesn't know what a pinch is, it's literally you grab a pinch of the stuff. It's usually a 1/16-ish of a teaspoon, but whatever fits, that's a pinch. So you just literally grab between two fingers with finger and thumb and just throw it in. You throw it on the ground, Lonely Island style. We need 6 cloves of freshly minced garlic. Now, undoubtedly, most of all y'all have seen videos about kitchen hacks. Number 17 will cause permanent insanity. We've all seen the videos. Whoop, 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 whoop. Now, when I say there's a kitchen hack worth doing, I'm usually pretty serious about it. You can take your glass jar with some sort of a metal or glass lid, mind blown like magic. Does this really save time? This step, yes. If we return without the extra paper, these garlic cloves into the jar, what's supposed to happen if these aren't super dry is the extra paper is supposed to come off and they look like this. Not bad. They're all naked. Maybe that's how my French toast got blocked by the bots on Discord. Maybe Wade can tell the story of how my French toast was too sexy for Discord. True story. Now, the problem with doing this, so we have 6-ish. I'll throw in a little more just for good luck.
Oh, yeah.
Got to keep some vampires away. So here we are. The cloves of garlic are mostly peeled. That's pretty good, right? That seemed pretty effortless. So as far as a kitchen hack, as the kids call it these days, it's not bad. Except for we have these little root stemmy kind of hard bits that I don't want. Uh-oh, something funny happened in the chat. Nobody likes clove garlic. That's true. That's true. Yeah, so what... Getting to here with the jar is not the worst. It's not the worst way to go, but since I do want to trim off these extra little bits, are we really saving any time? Maybe, barely. Now I'm going to show you something a little interesting after I trim these up. Always, always, always claw technique. And I can take my sweet blank. Wow, I'm so good for being PG-13. I can take my sweet time prepping the meal because this is only going to take like 45 minutes in the oven. So we've got lots of time. Real farina, trimming the ends, smashing. That's smash everything, right? That works absolutely fine. The reason to smash the garlic is just to break apart the fibers. It's just easier to cut the... You get the physical structure of the garlic working for you instead of against you. It also releases a lot of flavor. Just breaking those membranes, just breaking the fibers will release more flavor. But what I'm going to get to here, I'll go back to the claw technique in a bit. If you trim on this unpeeled piece of garlic, not all the way through. The balloon of yeah, maybe.
Pretty hairy.
That's a good working theory, Wade. I think. Huh. Oh, this jar doesn't smell though, and I just leave this on my counter all the time. This is my designated garlic shaker jar. Now, is it a gadget? I guess. So here we have our garlic clove that's cut, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through it. Now, if we're lucky, I can just pop this top off, and the skin, the peel, will just come off with the rest of it. Mind blown, right? And same with this other, and just in case it didn't come off, I trimmed the other end, same thing. So here we have the perfectly trimmed piece of garlic. I'm cutting the ends off anyways. Do I really need to shake them loose in the jar? I don't know. If you break the paper, like that skin off the garlic in the jar, you just have to trim the one side, not the two. I don't know. You do you. Speaking of no gadgets, I'm going to grab my garlic mincer. If you don't have one of these, I will show you how to mince up garlic. If you're using one of these bad boys, you do not want the fibers that run the length of the paper. You don't want the fibers that run the length of the garlic to line up with the holes, because if I do this, I will just have these tubes of pieces of garlic. I'm not going to have minced garlic. I'm going to have strips of garlic, and that's not what I want.
I just shove them in there.
I could just shove them in there. Apparently that is what she said. I'm going to try to keep my hands fairly clean today. Now, whatever's left inside, it's going to be garbage. It's going to be some peel left over. Show you what this looks like. So this is just going to be more of the garlic peel, the skin, and I don't want that in the finished product. So that all works fairly well. And I can take a few small pieces and crush them up at the same time. And again, inside we have this paper-like stuff. Save that one for later. Ooh. An explosion of garlic. Yoink. Mmm. Everyone's going to want to make out with me tonight. Straight out of the dishwasher, super hot knife. I need to cool this down. So my blacksmith friends are probably freaking out right now from what I just did, although I don't think it matters. This is like legit, decent quality stainless steel. I don't think I'm going to be deforming the knife by taking it out of the hot dishwasher and cooling it down. If I am, you know, shame on me. Although I will ask someone if I can actually damage my knife by doing that. I don't think I can. So these pieces of garlic, I can just take flat, bash with the knife. Doing this is a little dangerous because there's this really sharp part of a knife that's really close to my hand. And if I miss, I'm not going to demonstrate, but if I miss, I could cut myself. Yeah. Or you can just whack it with your hand. Or you don't have to do either of the above. So what I'm going to do is very, very nicely cut in line with the fibers. I am using my claw, I'm using my fingers as a guide. So the curvature of the fingers is a guide for the not sharp part of the knife. And the business end stays far away from these fleshy bits that have that red stuff inside that I want to keep inside. So now that we have these little sticks, these little bâtonnets of le garlic, that's French. We just rotate it 90 degrees for all of you math geeks. We adjust the strips of garlic orthogonally to the plane. So once you have this pile of slightly diced up garlic, when you're pushing things off your knife, it's just bad technique. You shouldn't do it. I do it all the time.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Donnie don't does. The biggest thing to watch out for is if something is stuck on your knife, don't push really hard to try to get it off your knife, because if there's something that's offering resistance and you push too hard, once you break that piece of whatever is sticking on free, you might have a natural tendency to pull back the other way to compensate. And when you do this and you push hard and then you pull back, you're going to cut your fingers. So don't do that. So you want to be really careful. Take your silicone spatula and just scrape off the stuff. It's a better way. Shock, welcome from Winnipeg. Welcome to Chicago. Oh, run out and grab a deep dish pizza. I want to hear all about it.
Don't freeze your ass.
And don't freeze your ass off. Apparently it's cold. I mean, I'm in Winnipeg, so I guess cold is relative. So from here, tip of the knife. I'm just going to hold this in place, and then I can just chop up and down. And this isn't a race. I don't have to go super fast. But following this method of mincing things, I'm just not going to cut myself. I'm never going to have an accident. And it's not really taking any extra time. So now that we have a whole bunch of garlic, we're on to the next leg of our journey here. I need half a cup of fresh lemon juice. So half a cup is about, for us folks up here, it's about 125 mils, which is something like 6 tablespoons, maybe more, maybe 8, maybe more. I'm going to need something around 3 or 4 lemons. Because each tablespoon is about 15 milliliters. So 4 tablespoons is 60 milliliters, which is about a quarter cup. So to use a half cup, 2 of these, maybe 3, and I need 1 of these for later. That's why I said 4. So I'm going to start off with 2, but I'm probably going to need all 4 lemons anyways. I need a bowl. Bowl that is also nuclear hot. Here's a great example of what is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when it comes to non-standardized measurements like a lemon. These 2 lemons came from the same bag. They're different. They're different. I mean, the color is different, the size is different, the discoloration is different, the weight of everything is different. I'm sure if I bite into them, they'll taste hopefully similar, but who knows? So when recipes call for things like half a lemon, you can look up that they're talking about 2 tablespoons, probably. But that's why I prefer to go by the final measurement. And even then, I still don't know how flavorful these lemons are going to be. Which is one of the reasons why using the packaged real lemon has some advantage. There's some merit to using it. I just don't like the taste itself. But the idea is kind of fantastic. Ooh, bread pudding. You know what I'm working on a chia seed pudding recipe for keto. That's going to be more like a rice pudding. It's almost ready. There is a recipe out there for like a coconut milk or almond milk, but I want something a lot thicker. I want to be more like like a whipped cream topping that you'd put on top of something else, not an actual like custard style pudding. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, blenders are a pain in the butt to wash. I totally agree. And I'm very thankful for my kitchen fairies. Lemons are a little tricky to cut safely. What we're supposed to do is what I like to do is have a flat bottom on everything that I'm cutting. But since I can't with this lemon, and this is a small cutting board which is going to slide around, this is extra dangerous. So again, don't do what Donnie does. I've got my claw, I'm holding this firmly in place. Fingers and toes still attached. Mission accomplished. This juicer really sucks. I really don't like it.
Sorry. The ghost
Yeah,
of my father apologized.
So, great opportunity, good learning moment. You can take this fork and squeeze. I'm just going to take this out completely. I'll scoop out the seeds later. Fork into the middle, squeeze, fork goes up and down. I wonder if this is going to get me banned on Discord.
Squelching.
The squelching and the just the motions here. Good morning, Kriana. So if you don't have one of these, whatever this thing is, a de-juice extractor, a Juicatron 4000, you can just take your fork, stab it in here, squeeze whatever the citrus is, and just, shake this up and down. Lurk and work. Shining Star, I'm like the king of lurking on Twitch. There's just not enough hours in the day for me to watch all the amazing content that's out there. And I'm too busy, supposed to be too busy doing my day job. When things work out that I can do my day job. I could use this to strain out the seeds, but if you don't have one of these, a knife and a fork is all you need to get juice out of your grapefruit or your lemon, your lime, your oranges, your tangerines. Speaking of amazing content, tune into MyLiveTube. Squishy, squishy, squishy.
Yeah, that's nice. The traditional style.
I'm afraid to click on it.
It's a glass juicer. Ooh, made in Europe.
Made in Europe. Nice. So I'm going to just scoop up all the seeds. Hopefully the seeds are not too small that they pass between the tines of my fork. So if a bident is a fork-like implement with 2 tines, and a trident is a fork-like implement with 3 tines, is this a quadrant? That doesn't seem right. I think I got to return my math degree. I'm going to measure how much liquid I have here. Got my 1/4 cup. I do have a little strainer handy. One of these bad boys.
Yeah, the music's not getting picked up.
The music is not getting picked up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push a button over here and see if I can get the music to play. Wish me luck. Did that work? Shock, there was an update. Do you hear the music now? Because I just pushed a magic button. Hopefully that works. I think I'm going to need a third lemon. What?
Apparently, spray gun conflicts with the channel's moderation.
I'm going to be going over some knife technique for peppers, like bell peppers later. So I think that's going to be... So if we have a lot more of these tines, does it become polydent? My etymology game sometimes is good. Sometimes is good. Okay, let's see how close to another quarter cup we have here. Yeah, close enough. I have... That's true. If I did need polydent, I would be better off with a spoon. So there was like an extra happy teaspoon on top of 1/2 cup of lemon juice. So yeah, it was about 3 lemons. And for the bazillionth time, were these lemons really medium-sized lemons? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. And even if the size was standardized, I have no idea how much juice. Can't say G-U-N.
Said together, I said spray gun, and it wouldn't let. It flagged it.
Wow.
It sounds like you're
That's a little
sending
hard.
double audio.
Yeah, it might be. Hang on. Let me know if the music is still playing, please. So next I'm going to add 1/2 cup of... This is decent quality olive oil. This is not the Western Family Signature. This was refilled with oil from back home. This is not the super duper ultra premium stuff that I'm used to getting, but it is legit Greek olive oil straight from Greek land. My family has some property back in Greece, and there's once in a while, a few times a year, we get some big containers that are crazy expensive to ship, but it's full of world-class, world-top, uber, not enough adjectives to describe just how amazing this olive oil is. The color of green, it defies explanation. Like it boggles the mind. And the flavor is incredible. But the audio isn't delayed now. So Wade, I don't understand what's happening, because the video and the audio is coming right. it's coming off the same NDI feed, so they should be synced up. And the first couple of streams, there was a delay for some reason on OBS, and then I removed it, but there was an update to OBS, so I don't know if it came back. So what I'm going to have to do is post-production adjust some of these things, or just cover my mouth. You know what? I should be wearing a mask. I can just wear a mask, and then no one's going to know that I'm off sync. See? They do more than just keep people alive. They fix audio editing. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that thing. Okay, so I have everything in here except for the chicken broth and stock. And then I'm going to need some oregano to finish this off. So I want to make sure that I'm not skipping any steps here. I'm reading the recipe. I'm not one of those sitcom buffoons that refuse to look at directions or maps. I read my instructions usually in 2 or 3 languages. Sometimes I even understand 1 or 2 of them. Depending on the size of your pan, you may want to... Place the chicken, add everything other than the potatoes and chicken stock, add the potatoes. Right. Chicken stock I need to measure. And the chicken stock is 2/3 of a cup, which might... sounds like a cup and a half. So this chicken is fairly dry. I'm going to just pour all of this wonderful smelling mixture. So again, we got the rosemary, we've got the olive oil, we got our tons of lemon, we got our salt and pepper, we got lots of garlic. I mean, basically it's a Greek salad dressing. I mean, that's all it really is. And a lot of Greek recipes, you'll see this, some combination of these ingredients. It's like a foundational sauce. I mean, there's an analog to French cuisine in here where you just have like those mother sauces that from which everything else is derived. It's similar for most ethnic cuisines. Do I like watching films about gladiators? Yeah, I'm okay with it. I grew up listening to my dad tell me stories about the 300. So when I finally saw the movie, I'm like, wow, they nailed it. Like, it's historically accurate. I didn't know it was so, that my dad told it so accurately. Apparently there's no hyperbole in the stories that I learned as a kid. Including like the monsters and the orgy scenes and the spells and the... Yeah.
Of the weird oracle.
Well, the thing with the oracles was bang on accurate. I've met some tall Persians in my day. That's entirely possible. Okay, so we have our chicken. I'm going to get my hands dirty as soon as I cut up the potatoes. So I'm going to put this off to the side just for a minute. Did I ever see a grown man naked?
Oh my God, here.
Yeah, the good old days. Back when you could smoke in a theater. Yes, real Therina, you did pick the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. Okay, we have our potatoes. I'm going to give these a quick scrub. I could peel these potatoes. I'm going to ask my studio audience if they really care if these are peeled or not. There was a guy, I see like 20 something asterisks is there. Mademoiselle Nouveau, do you want these potatoes peeled or no?
Nah.
Welcome to Heathens Galore, where we don't peel our potatoes.
Fine, peel them. I thought it would just be easier for you.
So I'm going to save a little bit of time by just giving these a quick scrub, and I'm going to chop off any unsightly parts. I could peel these. You know what? I'm going to peel these just for demonstrative purposes. I'm going to find my casserole dish. Are we getting... Did it freeze? What? No, we're still good. Camera, we're good. Are we still getting audio music in the background, or is it quiet? And more importantly, can I add that post-production? I think I can. The music's there more for background. And to showcase some awesome talent that Shock has put together, including himself. Humble brags, shameless plugs. So I just threw just a splash of olive oil on here. The pan is a little discolored. So that's the only reason I put the oil on there. It's not really required. So. So the pieces of potato should not be more than about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches at the thickest part. And I'm going to fetch a larger cutting board just so I don't hurt myself. Again, shout out to my kitchen fairies that do a fantastic job of keeping me well stocked with things that I dirty up regularly. I can take the humble paring knife / peeler nice and easy. It's not a race. I'll show you another way to do this with just a chef's knife. Your potato, says I. So if you have these unsightly little divots, that's what the pokey end of this is for. You can just poke it in, give it a little twist, and knock out these little unsightly bits of potato. Is it necessary? Not really. If you see a section that's green though, get rid of it. If you see something that's the wrong color, get rid of it. Oh, that sounds so bad. If you see some potato that's discolored, get rid of it, that section. Just so I'm not taken out of context. So, this potato is going to roll around on me. It's a little dangerous. So, if this is wobbling, I have to be very, very, very extra careful. If it's wobbling a lot and I can't control it, I can just trim off the bottom. And now I have something a lot more stable to work with. Right? And now I can use my claw, hold on to the potato, and I have flat pieces, flat sides are down against the cutting board, so this isn't going to move around at all. So I just have these fairly big potato wedges, and yeah, they're not much more than 1.25 inches. Potato engineering. Now, so what I can do the whole peeling from this side with the knife. I'm assuming everybody has one of these. I don't really consider this to be a gadget. If you're really stuck and you don't have one of these, grab your big knife. You can just trim those ends off. Now, if you don't mind, you can give yourself a big flat area to work with, and then just cut at an angle. This is a touch wasteful, but you're not going to cut yourself. I'm using my fingers as a guide.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, paring knife is infinitely easier. Yeah. So I'm saying, like, if you're stuck and all you have is a big knife, there's a safe way to peel your potato, and it would be something along this line. This is how I peel my apples with a big knife, because I don't like using a paring knife on an apple or a peeler on an apple. So, you know, like, you can do this and pull the knife towards you if you've got good hand control. It's still a little dangerous, because if I find a hard piece of potato in here and I give it a little too much oomph, once I get through that resistance, I might end up cutting myself. And as hilarious as that might be, and good for viewers, it's not good for me. So this other piece along here. Again, it's a little wasteful, super safe. Paring knife is way easier. Potato peeler is the best way to go. Do not peel your potatoes like this. Even if you have good knife skills, the risk of cutting yourself, I don't think is worth it. Now, if you want to be really cool, you take this bottom corner, and you can cut out these little eyes this way. But use one of these. It's safer, it's quicker, it's easier. Ooh, Fantasy Island. Shock, shock, zipline, zipline. Someone had to say it. Again, even though this was in the vertical wrong position, it was already flat on this side, so there was very little risk of this wobbling around. There is no risk of these wobbling around because they're completely flat on one side. These pieces are a little bigger than I want, so I'm just going to trim them up. Yeah, you know what? These might be a little too big. Said no one ever. As long as the pieces are the same size, they're going to cook consistently, and that's all we really care about. Ooh, that potato's really green.
Ew.
Ew.
Stop watching that.
I'm gonna cut this potato in half and see what this looks like in the middle. Yeah, whatever. You see the difference in color?
Interesting question by Casper's Cloud.
That's a fantastic question. It might just be underripe and it was in the same harvest, the same batch. Sugar alkaloids. Huh, I'd have to look that up. When potatoes are green like this, they're just not usually not ripe enough, I believe. Always drop them. Yeah, I'm not going to use this potato. It's disgusting. Into the garbage with you. If somebody wants to fire up somebody wants to fire up the wiki page for green potatoes, that would be fantastic. We can all learn something. Because when potatoes get older and funky, they normally turn more brown than green, from what I remember. I don't have potatoes last that long. So that green, I believe, is from being underripe.
Exposure to light.
Exposure to light.
Chlorophyll and also solanine. Ew.
Ooh. I should find some for my axe. Huh. I'm surprised we haven't seen that in Murder, She Wrote or Murdoch Mysteries.
Death by potato.
Death by potato. Thank you so much for digging that up, Wade. Exposure to light. Weird. You learn something new every day. Is trimming this little bit off, is it really wasteful? Yeah, kind of. Is it, I'm going to be a little hyperbolic, is it infinitely safer? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's worth doing if you're not comfy with the knife. Okay, this is good enough for now, I believe. Let's get one more potato in there. Fried green potatoes, yeah, probably a good explanation. Yeah, I don't like this. A lot of these potatoes are green. Huh.
I usually just peel the top out.
Yeah, I could do that, or I could not poison you.
Well, obviously it won't poison me because I've done it. And I've eaten them.
Fried green hospitalization. Well, at least it's free up here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is that. And the hospital is basically across the street from me.
Free. There's nothing to do with taxes.
When I say across the street, I'm really not exaggerating. I can see the hospital from my balcony. I'm like, half a mile maybe, tops. Like a few thousand feet away from the front of the hospital. I don't have enough cool content to occupy 3 hours while shopping. Otherwise, I could give you guys a tour of shopping and the surrounding area. And other equally boring touristy things. Oh, you know what? Never mind. When I do a barbecue stream, you will see the hospital. Well, blonde side more than brown, right? Gotta go for that good quality hash. Oh, you're talking potatoes. Whoops. I too was talking about potatoes, Real Therina. I have no idea what you're implying otherwise. Yeah, a shopping segment might be okay. I'm a little concerned about the internet connection inside of, let's say, a Costco. And how that would even work. Okay. Going to very quickly clean up the mess over here. We got all the time in the world. We're only an hour and a half in. We got lots of time. We got all sorts of time. On a slightly more serious note, I will be making edibles at some point on somebody's stream at some point. So I will need to discuss with Senor Shock if he wants me to do it here on my stream. I understand it's legal in Cali, it's legal up here, so. Yeah, Casper's Cloud, I could probably do that. I don't have one of those selfie sticks, and I know I'm going to feel like such a douchebag walking around talking to a camera. Total. I mean, I appreciate douchebaggery to a certain level, but I don't know if I could elevate it to a true art form that would make it entertaining. Yeah.
Stop watching it.
Yeah, okay. So, time to speaking of getting sick, I'm going to get my hands covered in all sorts of salmon and laella. Okay. Today's dish is Greek lemon potatoes with chicken and a Greek salad. I'm just taking way too much time to go over the prep and everything else. Realistically, the time to cut and get the potatoes ready, it's like, let's just pretend it's 10 minutes. To rinse and dry the chicken, let's pretend it's a couple of minutes. To chop up the other ingredients, let's pretend it's 5 minutes. The salad you're doing while you're cooking. This whole thing is done in an hour. Hour 15, start to finish. And half that time is the cooking in the oven. Like there's maybe half an hour of interactive time involved. So I've no problem and no qualms at all about, or no reservations at all about taking my time to explain everything step by step. And you know, chatting is always cool.
Well, that's the thing, you're also being educational.
Yeah, I'm trying to be educational. Like this isn't the snap jump cut video that you'll see on YouTube. This is a lot more interactive TV. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have cable, thank God, and I ended up watching a whole lot of cooking shows. And the shows that I found most entertaining were when the person cooking was interacting with the audience. And I'm kind of trying to recreate that, and to bring cooking back to the people. So I want to make it more accessible. It actually bothers me when I see my friends and I hear about people eating out all the time as a necessity. If you're going out for an enjoyable meal where you don't have to worry about the shopping, the prep, the planning, the cleanup, everything else, you just want to go out and spoil yourself and go out for a treat, do it. Just enjoy it. Splurge, indulge. But 3 times a day? Nah, you should be cooking at home. Back in my corporate days, I was on the road a fair bit, and it sounds great being able to have a reasonably good expense account for eating out. You get sick of it after a while. You really do. And there's something about home cooking that it's just hard to replace. It's hard to get at a restaurant. It's just not satisfying. Okay, I just want to double check before I get my hands dirty. I am going to preheat the oven now. 425. It's pretty high temperature. Lightly rolled pan. Add everything other than potatoes and chicken stock. Then add the potatoes. Gently toss all the ingredients. Wash my hands. Add the yes. Okay, it's properly written up. Okay, good. Time to get the dirty. So raw dog and potatoes. Yeah, was there a movie about that, or was that a shepherd's pie? American shepherd's pie. Epic levels of gas, yeah, no doubt. But I gotta tell you, this smell is incredible. Just the combination, especially the fresh lemon and the garlic. Whew. That's good stuff. Now, I have the oil in here. I'm going to put that's enough liquid so that things don't stick to the pan. Not yet, anyways. I could, and really I probably should, let the chicken marinate and the potatoes marinate in this beautiful sauce for a couple of hours. You don't need to. It's not mandatory, it's not necessary, but it sure does taste a little bit better. You know what I might do is divide this up into 2 different trays. Or maybe not. I don't know. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. Give me one second. It's my, yeah, it's got room for that. Here's the obligatory complaining about small kitchen.
Almond rook.
That's hilarious. Okay, the other half of the chicken thighs I'm going to put in this other prettier casserole dish. I'm probably going to chop up some more potatoes.
Do it up, baby.
To the complaint of nobody here. And 6. So I want the oil to cover the bottom of the pan. I want the extra liquid eventually to be cooked off. The potatoes need to brown, the chicken needs to cook. All these wonderful things need to happen. These things should not be too crowded though. By these things I mean the chicken and the potatoes. They need room to be themselves, to be the best chicken and potatoes they can be. If they feel too constrained, they're just not going to be able to spread their wings and fly. I kind of want to chop up another potato, but this is good enough, I think. Look at that beautiful sauce. Just going to pour a little bit on top. Again, it would have been better to have a few hours to let all of this soak, covered in the fridge. But this is perfectly fine. This whole thing is just bursting with flavor. I could save a few tablespoons. When I'm done, there's going to be some drippings in here that I'm going to save. I'm going to turn that into a bit of a sauce. I'm just going to strain it out and just pour it on top, just to get more of that, capture more of that lemon flavor. Okay, so here we have. This one looks infinitely better. This one's nice and pretty. Right? Nice and pretty. Now realistically, people tend to go mental, absolutely crazy, psycho boofer bananas, if you will, for the lemon potatoes. Triple it up, at least. Put in an extra bit of lemon. Use a little bit more stock. And use like 4 to 8 pounds of potatoes. Load up your second casserole dish with like 1 or 2 pieces of chicken just to get that fat incorporating. But no one's going to complain about the extra potatoes. No one. Well, if they do, just yell at them because they're being silly. I'm going to go wash my hands and I'll be right back. Okay.
It smells good.
Yeah, it does smell good. It smells really, really good. So the instructions are: in a lightly oiled pan, place the chicken pieces skin side up. Done. Place the pieces of potato in between. Make sure to fill in all the gaps. Close enough. Spoon the remaining marinated onto a piece of potatoes. Done. Bake uncovered 15 minutes. Toss each piece in the liquid. Put back refunded. Blah 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 blah. Repeat a bunch of times every 15 minutes. I'm going to just be tossing everything over. I just want to get all of the flavor I can from that sauce, from that marinade, all over the place. I don't want to waste any of it. So I'm just going to keep rebasting everything. Every 15 minutes, I'm going to bake it for a total of 45 minutes. Now, someone's going to say, but wait a second, Vlahos, I thought you were a math guy, and if you're doing it every 15 minutes, doesn't that mean twice? Well, yeah, probably. I'm going to do an extra 5 minutes at the end. So shush, you and your modulo 15 remainder 0 people. Bonus points if you know what any of that meant. And yeah, so it's going to be cooked till the internal temperature at the thickest part is about 165 Fahrenheit. I'm going to remove the chicken, put it on a serving tray. The potatoes get tossed around in that beautiful whatever remaining sauce is one more time. And then they get broiled for a few minutes. Oh yeah, and that's when they crisp up, and that's where the magic really happens. And then we do some more magic. Because we can take that sauce that's left over after broiling those potatoes, and then we strain out the extra bits, and we use that liquid to pour on top of the potatoes and the chicken. And that's just this amazing, really, really lemony, just a more, it's less biting, but the lemon flavor still really punches through. So that's what we're going to do there. The temperature is at 355. We're almost at 425. And once the chicken and potatoes are in the oven, I'm going to get started on the Greek salad. And yeah, so this is going to be cooking for, let's just round up to an hour. I still have about 15 minutes to monkey around. About 15 minutes to monkey around. So I'm sure we can find something interesting to do. Something hilarious in the chat. Slide rule. Ah, you guys. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. The cat putting toilet paper rolls in the cat litter box. That's awesome. I'm gonna make a coffee. Who wants one?
Okay. Okay.
Got my baggie of premium Brazilian coffee. Literally the best of Brazilian Canadian coffee. And yes, best coffee ever. These trays are going in the oven. I'm going to start my timer. 15 minutes. I'm going to start flipping things around. My oven also has some hot spots, so it'll give me a good chance to spin things around a few times. I'm just going to start tidying up over here. Oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll spin them right round. Like some sort of a thing that spins around. Like those vinyl discs used to spin around. Like a record baby. that's why I want cats.
They do it too. Hairballs or
Okay, these things are going into the dirty part of the sink. So the sink. Thanks, Sudeep. Oh, you got the 80s Vlahos emote there. You know what? I got the OG one here. Oh yeah, it's totally different. It's the glasses.
I don't know how to copy.
I'm just gonna tidy up my work area and get started on that cell. We've got bags of time. I'm very, very thankful that I did most of my growing up in an English-speaking country. So, like, English isn't technically my first language, but I grew up in Canada, so I've been around enough pop culture that it's very fluent enough. But I'm learning English, not a problem. If Greek's your preferred language, have at it. I'll translate.
Oh, you can speak French.
Oh, tu parles français? Moi aussi. Bonjour. Where are you from? It's amazing how good the online translators are. Oh, neat. I mean, it helps if you understand the difference between languages that have a subject, object, verb, or subject, verb, object. Just so when the translation is bad, like you know that it's bad, but just copying and pasting things into Google Translate, you can have a decent conversation with someone if both parties are okay with a bit of delay. It's kind of impressive what we can do for bridging communication and bridging languages. Speaking of French, I'm going to get my French press started. I got my 2 1/4 ounces of coffee. Healthy shot of cinnamon. Oh yeah, cinnamon coffee. I'm going to bloom the coffee. We're gonna let this sit for a couple of minutes, start that releasing process. And then when I pour the rest of the water in, we're going to develop this beautiful crema. We're going to let it steep for 5 minutes. We're going to pour ourselves a truly epic cup of fresh coffee.
Okay, Bear, I need to.
I'll be right back. Feel free to ASMR among yourself.
Wade sent me a thing to paste, and I can't copy it.
Why?
I can't highlight it with this gizmo, and every time I try to do it, it just goes crazy and highlights the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
I can't do it on my phone. Almost there, yeah, right there where it starts. As soon as, yeah, it goes kind of mental there, and I try to go back up, and then it clears everything.
So he wants you to paste it here?
Yeah. Yay.
So you can just like Control V to paste it in there now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we can save that text pad later.
Sweet.
Look at all that beautiful crema that just formed. It smells like
Heaven.
heaven. Yeah, cinnamon espresso shots. Yeah, I'm actually on my computer most of the time, so if somebody does have a serious question. We love bibliothèque, yeah. Oh, it's asked, not at. I'm just being a jerk. Sorry, real 3 and I couldn't resist. Okay, so we have our coffee started. I'm happy. Let's get some. Let's get a Greek salad going. I want to see if I even have a Greek salad on my blog here. Greek salad. Le salade grec. Le wahan. Oh, you know what? I don't think I have a Greek salad in here. Guruni a la Phil. Wild. Okay. What I do have the vast majority of my recipes are on that site. So feel free to, if you're interested in the cooking content, check out my Twitch. On the About page is... Yeah. My About has all my social media links, but the vast majority of everything that I do is actually on my Discord and on the Daily Bear. and then on Twitch. Yeah, starting off with a language that has 3 genders made learning everything else a whole lot easier. Made it a lot easier. And my friends from junior high and high school, because I took everything. Yes, I did. I did bring enough coffee for all the class. Thanks, Wade. I do everything. I do everything. I'm learning English. I keep everything as simple as possible just to make it accessible. But like a few months ago, I did a few different baklava with phyllo pastry. Like I don't want to walk people through rolling and chilling and folding and rolling and chilling and folding like croissant puff pastry. It's not hard to do. It's just really time consuming, and I don't think anyone's going to do it. But a few times a month on my stream, I'll bake bread at least. I tried to do a mix between savory and desserts. I'm learning English. Don't worry about how correct your grammar is. I understand it. I understand it perfectly fine. And I'm never going to tease somebody that's not a native English speaker about their English. So my Canadian friends that have bad grammar, I tease them all the time because they should know better. But if somebody's trying to learn English as a second language, because English is a terrible language to learn later in life. It's really, really tough. And I applaud you for picking it up. So if it's easier, just throw it in French. I don't mind. But yes, I cook everything. Very little of it is hard. I mean, there's some technique that's actually tough. But if you understand how to use a knife, if you understand how the food itself works, just moving it around on the heated surface or leaving it alone, and it's not rocket science. But there's a certain amount of hesitation that people have, a bit of like fear or just a lack of confidence. And that's what I'm trying to help people get over. Because none of this is hard to do. It doesn't matter how amazing the finished product looks. And I actually don't try to make my presentation look good. I have a joke about rustic presentation, which means it looks like crap. Because I'd rather have people prepare stuff that doesn't look, food porn quality, but it's still delicious, and they made it themselves. And they saved a whole bunch of money. And they've picked up a life skill. I'd rather see people doing that than try to make these amazing, beautifully presented dishes. I mean, both of course is best, but just get the food ready.
Oh, you didn't mute that.
I didn't.
I heard it.
Oh my gosh, I'm terribly sorry about that. I thought the light was off. Sorry, guys. It's very unprofessional of me. As soon as my alarm goes off in 1 minute, I will be flipping and stirring the potatoes around. And then I will get to work on the salad. We got lots of time. Lots and lots of time.
Galette.
Oh, it's just like a galette's like a mini like a mini pie, little tart thing usually.
Okay. Neat. 2,000 of them.
That's a lot. Okay, so I'm going to this first one. Oh, face full of chicken steam. Yummy. Get ready for the ASMR. hope the ASMR came through.
I'd be hungry if I watched it at any time.
So I'm just very quickly
Oh, there you
basting.
go. There you go. Oh. True.
The chicken, I'm going to flip these pieces over, make sure that they're thoroughly coated in this beautiful juice. I'm going to try to do this on the screen. Hang on. Try not to splash things around too much. Try not to burn yourself. Slow and steady. I'm not going to cross-contaminate everything with the raw chicken. Just going to stir around the other half of this recipe and the other off screen. So bear with me for a minute. If anybody is ever in the Winnipeg area, and I'm not kidding about this, if anybody is ever in the Winnipeg area, let me know and I will make extra for you. You're always welcome to come visit. Be a member of the studio audience. And maybe even guest cook for me. Gonna put another 15 minutes on the clock. Okay. And we just called it école secondaire. Like lycée wasn't you didn't refer to our school as that. I took my Rude Gurley, Arizona. It's Alt 130 for the accent aigu. Yeah. Hold down the Alt key and on your number pad 130. Let go of the Alt. It has to be on your number pad. Then let go, and then you get that accent. The more you know. Exactly, Wade. That's exactly it. Thanks for saying that. My junior high and high school, so grades 7 to 12, were almost all my courses were in French, including gym, library, basically everything except for pre-calculus, calculus, some honors courses, and there was this lifestyles course that I had to take, and English, and music. Everything else was in French. It's like history, geography, math, chemistry, social studies, everything. Could not hold a conversation with the local francophones because what they spoke, we learned Parisian French. We learned like the Queen's English version of English. And when we're talking with locals, it was a completely different language. And even my family from Montreal, I have a bit of a hard time understanding what they're saying. And they think I talk like a snob because I didn't learn any slang. Okay, I'm going to pour myself a coffee and then let me get the salad started. Oh, Mademoiselle Nouveau. Do you have a coffee mug handy?
Yep.
Got todo. Got it todo.
That's not French. French.
I know it's not French. Gimme, gimme in Greek.
Sure is.
Oh yeah, it sure is. It sure is different. And it's not just Canadian French. There's different French in Quebec than there is in rural Manitoba. Oh, Vinyl Resting Place, welcome. Yes. Looks like Wade was paying attention in school.
Thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. One thing I learned about Arabic swears is they seem to have more punch when it's about your parents and your ancestors. Like just calling someone dirty or smelly, or that they do naughty things with various other things, naughty bits, and various critters, naughty bits, like dogs and camels or whatever. I mean, that's all fine, but to really insult someone, what I was told was you go for the lineage, you go for their parents, or further up the family tree. You're getting ads. Well, it's a great excuse, a great reason, good incentive to keep Mars Purrs a lot in catnip. Okay. We're going to break tradition because I couldn't find any green peppers at my store today. We're going to use these bad boys. What was it, the good one, like Ini an al abuk ladhi nal nafuk or something like that? It's like, curse your father for having given you life. Akhladi khalafuk, that's what it is. Yeah. Friend of mine growing up, his dad was like the ambassador to Jordan, or he's like buddies with the king of Jordan way back in the day. Yeah, we really did have the United Colors of Benetton school. Indiana Book Akhladi Khalafuk, that's what it was. Don't repeat any of this. You'll get yourselves into trouble. You get me into trouble. And ain't nobody got time for that. We got ourselves a cucumber. Got ourselves some feta. Got some olives. What else do we need? Oh yeah, we need some dressing. 9 minutes? Lots of time. salad goes. Well, that's awkward. Oh, it's in my shopping bag. That's why. It wasn't my shopping bag. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Bear with me for 1 minute. I need to dig up my notes.
What happened?
Can't find my notes. Huh. Okay. I have a bunch of olives. I have a bunch of feta. I have a cucumber. I've got some tomatoes. You can get away with or without using the romaine lettuce. I've got a romaine lettuce part that I need to get rid of. Again, it's not traditional. Traditional is like a red onion. Mademoiselle Nouveau is not a fan of the red onion.
My tummy's not a fan of it.
Her tummy's not a fan of it. Personally, I'm okay with or without it. And there's all sorts of variants. Like you can put like chickpeas in with your salad. You can put what's another interesting one that I've seen?
What's called the Vlahos. It's like Vlahos.
There's a Your mother is a poivron.
Or
Mother's a bell pepper. Okay, 5 minutes left. After I flip the things around, I'm going to start chopping up the dealios here. One thing about the cucumber, I'm going to give this a quick wash. Most produce from the store, especially if it's shiny, if it feels like it has a waxy finish, it's because it does have a waxy finish. You can wash your vegetables in like a mixture of warm water and baking soda, and just give it a good scrub to get rid of any junk that you don't want. If you really want to. Just some hot water is usually good enough. I know my sister is a huge fan of scrubbing everything with baking soda. I think it's a little bit of overkill, but if you got time, then, you know, more power to you. Now, I don't want this bowl to get particularly warm. So, These ends I like to cut off. There's a bit of a urban myth about rubbing the ends of a cucumber, like so, till you get that white pasty thing forming. And that's supposed to get rid of some bitterness. Old habits, right? Yeah, getting rid of the bug poo is always good. Gonna give this peeler a quick wash because of a very, very, very special use for it. Now remember when I said presentation? Okay. The skin on this cucumber is a little bitter. Now, you don't have to do this, but this goes a long way. Why was I washing the cucumber? Because it's been handled by other... Oh, why was I molesting it? Oh, do I have that nasty of a language filter on? Yeah, so I think I have to go change my settings. All I saw was the asterisks. So these strips don't look particularly even or perfect, but you'll see why I did this in just a minute. Again, it's not a race. I just want nice, even strips. Nice, even. So I'm using the claw to guide the knife. I'm just moving my hand back ever so much. So each one of these cuts is pretty uniform. And because this knife has a bit of a curve, when I get to the bottom, I really should be following the edge. Ooh, this is there's some nasty pieces in here. Yikes. So much for fresh produce. Ugh.
Yes, why were you rubbing the end?
Oh, why was I rubbing the end? What I was told growing up was it removes the bitterness. I don't think it's true. I think it's hogwash, but that's what my mama taught me to do, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Take the skin to make a puree to get taste too soft.
There's a pro tip in here.
I'm learning English that you can use the skin to puree and make taste too soft.
Yes. I find that the skin is too, it's still a little bitter. I don't mind wasting a little bit of the vegetables, like when I do asparagus. I have boiled the stems, like the bottom part of the stalk that's harder. Like you can boil it to make it softer. You can break down the fibers, and you can puree that. You can turn that into a soup, or you can just throw it out. If you're worried about stretching your food dollars, of course use every bit that you can. If you're actually going to use it. So I'm just coming up on the end of the cucumber here. So these last few pieces are a little tricky. Just the tip, that's right. So if you don't think you have a good grip on it, just take the last piece, put it on its side, and just chop it up. Don't try to be a hero with your knife. Don't try to be super fancy. Don't try to do this as quickly as possible. Just cut them so they're fairly even. And if you get to the end and you're having a hard time holding on to the end, the bottom of the shaft, nyuk, just plunk it down its side. Just give it a couple of chops like this. Right? Now the nice thing about cutting those strips off, all of a sudden these look really, really pretty. Right? They look kind of nice. So I'm just going to throw all of this into my bowl.
That's whack.
So it looks less, sorry, it's less bitter And I think it looks cooler. So I'm a big fan of doing this with my cucumbers. I'm going to spin everything around one more time in the oven. Another face full of stuff here. That's what she said. Okay, you can see the juice is starting to get darker. The potatoes are starting to turn brown. The chicken skin is definitely browning up. So I'm going to flip these around one more time. You guys made stuff like this in junior high? I doubt it. If you did, I'm super jealous.
Well, I made lots of cool stuff.
Really? I missed most of my junior high
Flan,
home
I
cooking.
made pastry. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
She was so much fun to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't made shoe in ages.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So I'm just flipping everything around, just making sure all those flavors are nice and incorporated. That's not just hanging out on the bottom of the meat. Want these potatoes thoroughly coated in this beautiful juice.
Okay. Yeah, I'm learning English. I think was saying that you need to know stuff like that. Like you learn that in cooking class.
Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, you're young. Ugh. I'm old enough to be your big brother or dad or something. Granddad?
Yeah, you should be his grandfather.
You be quiet.
Nice.
What's kind of funny is my whole life, the majority of my life, I was the youngest person in my group. Like most of my friends when I was growing up, they were 2.5 years older than me. I was always the youngest kid in my class, and yeah, I was always used to being the baby in the group. And now, I'm trying really hard to be that cool old guy, failing miserably all around. Like culinary fine arts.
Yeah, this would be post-secondary. 20?
Yeah, post-secondary, right. Yeah, I had a bad experience with home ec. I had a very bad experience, and I missed the vast majority of mine for reasons that we should not disclose today. Protect the innocent, which apparently was me back then. Normally we have some combination of a green and a red pepper. I mean, do we want to go nuts and use all 3 peppers because we're not using an onion? Why not, right? Let's go loco today.
always like a part-time.
Right. There's a few ways to trim this up. What I like to do, I should use a paring knife for this. I can come in at a little bit of an angle. It was okay. I'm learning English. We got it. And what I'm doing here is I'm slowly cutting into the little ribs, these little dividing sections of the pepper. Now, the problem is I'm stabbing into this not particularly firm object with a particularly crazy razor sharp knife. So I don't like doing this because it's not overly safe. What's easier is if you just take the knife in one direction and you hold the knife in place and you move the pepper around it. And if you have to do a little bit of a rocking motion back and forth, you can do it slowly, and that works. But I almost got a little close to cutting myself there. This, I think, is a bad way to do it. What I personally like to do is go back to my trusty peeler, because the edge of the peeler is sharp enough to cut through the pepper, but it's not going to cut my skin. So I can do the exact same thing with, I can cut this the same way with my peeler as I did with the paring knife, but if I slip, I'm not going to cut myself. So what I want to do is just cut around these little ribbies, and I'll show you what they look like on the inside. Take these cores and just throw these out. Next, pepper is firmly in place. Claw. Just going to cut the bottoms off. Claw, guiding the knife. Now I'm going to give these a rinse to get rid of the rest of the seeds. And just in case I forget to mention it when I do the tomatoes, the squishy bits of a tomato that are mostly water, they bring basically no flavor. So I am not a fan of tomato juice from tomatoes, and I'm really okay with just throwing it out. I'm really okay with throwing that part out. I'm just going to rinse these two, get rid of the rest of those seeds.
Translate.
I don't know how to say in English, but can learn to. Yeah. So I could remove the top the same way. I just think that it's safer to do this with the paring, with the vegetable peeler. I think it's safer for people that are just learning to use knives. You can just go in with the tip. You can just the tip. You can go in and hold the tip like this, which is the more traditional style, and you can dig out. You can cut out the top and then cut out the core of the pepper. And if you come in at an angle, you end up getting a cone-shaped segment, and then it's easier just to pull it out. Someone go ahead and say just the tip and pull out. Again, I find it's a lot safer to use the peeler than a paring knife. That's why I recommend that, especially beginners, just do this. Yes, I know all about old habits. I know all about old habits. Yeah. Okay, what I like to do with these bits, especially when I'm doing souvlaki's, I will cut, this piece is perfect. Normally when you get these 3 lobes, you can just cut them right to the middle and use these on the very end of your shish kebab. So when you have your souvlaki and you're putting it together, like you'll have like meat, veg, meat, veg, meat, veg, meat, veg, and then put that on the cap, and it just looks so pretty. You have this nice little rounded tip. It's really bulbous. Anyways, shame on everyone. So if you're ever making souvlaki and you have your peppers, just keep that in mind. Okay, so one of many ways to deal with a pepper here, you can just take this and roll it out. If you really want, you can trim around where it curves back. Like I can trim the crown, so I just have these. I can make these little bâtonnets, like these little sticks of the peppers. I'll show you what it looks like on just this segment here. All right, so I can trim this up later, but now I have this piece, and I can just really quickly. We have our pieces of pepper. Now, some people might think these are too big, might want to cut these in half. At this point, it's entirely up to you how big and coarse you want your pieces to be, or how fine you want them to be. Like to do these in more of a julienne style, I'd have these in about 1/3 the size that they are. Ooh, meat again tomorrow, good. Yeah, dites-le en français, c'est bien ici. Okay, we have the pepper, a nice quick coarse chop. Again, always using the claw. I'm never going to cut myself on stream if I can help it. And all that stuff I said about bad habits, that's usually when I follow it up with, don't do what Danny does. Like, don't use your knife as a scraper, but I do all the time. When you have these wonky end pieces, you can just give them a quick chop. This isn't going to be too bad for for putting in a salad. I think I'm only going to use 2 peppers in here, though. I think 3 might be too much. Quick poll, orange or yellow?
Orange.
Orange. These little bits are what normally called the ribs.
That'd be Canadian accent, not American.
Oh, my Canadian accent. Is it that bad? Oh, je m'excuse. Yikes. So again, you can just press this down, and if the pieces will break into segments, that's fine. I'm chopping this up anyways. And it's not a race. I'm not trying to go as fast as possible. Always using proper technique, always using my claw. I always make sure that the pepper's not sliding around. I'm hopefully never, ever, ever going to cut myself, at least on screen. If I cut this in half the time, how much time would I really save? Like 3 seconds maybe? Is it worth risking cutting myself to save 3 seconds? I don't think so. These big pieces, let's pretend it's rustic. These I'm going to put in a bowl You know what? I would love if you could send some pictures of your bakery. I'm gonna get a. Yeah, join the Discord. Join all the Discords, please. And feel free to share your pictures. I'd love to see them. That'd be really cool. I'm just gonna save this yellow pepper for later. Next, I need about a cup of feta cheese. Now, most people aren't going to have just like randomly have a big block of feta hang out in the back of their fridge for a while. I don't know why I do. It might be Greek. Feta cheese is normally packed in brine, so it's just this salty water. If you leave it alone for a while, the feta cheese will get funky. More so than, like a cheddar or a normal hard cheese will, because it's soft cheese. I'm a huge fan of feta. Go figure. Huge fan of it.
Oh yeah, I think I'm learning English and yet to go to work soon.
Wait, can somebody post the Discord link? Someone, anyone? Linguistics is the study of languages.
Okay, that's my
yeah.
But I don't know what.
Yeah, that's fine. We can get my Discord later. Okay, so I've got about a cup of feta cheese. I'm just gonna chop this up into some smallish cubes. So again, feta's flat on one side. This part is entirely up to you. You can leave big chunks like this size. No one's gonna complain. You can crumble it. No one's gonna complain.
Oh wow, linguistics is full of
variants in French. Oh, living languages.
Yeah.
Neat.
Instead of linguistics. I'm sure that wasn't a German definition.
Yeah. When I took my linguistics courses in university, it was about the structure of language. And it was only was it 2 or 3 courses? Anyways, it had more to do with the structure of the language than specifics of individual languages. But it was really convenient because having a solid foundation in a Romance language and Greek and English, there's a whole lot of languages that are based on those 3. So it made a lot of it easier. Plus, I could relate to the majority of it. What I find really interesting is how different Portuguese seems to me than the other related languages.
Yeah, That was weird.
I always found that interesting. And if somebody knows why there's such a difference between Spanish and Portuguese, because they have the same root. Like as a French speaker, I can sort of fudge my way through Spanish, but not Portuguese, not by a long shot. Most of the feta up here is made with cow milk. It's a little difficult to get goat milk or sheep milk feta. So this is more of just like a salty, creamy cheese than the that sharp, very pungent goat milk flavored old school feta.
I just thought Hungarian too. The difference is Vlahos.
I need to find a serving container because that chicken is just about ready. I'm gonna get my thermometer. Woo! Just cost. For the regional reason for no goat milk. No, like it's just more expensive here. Yeah, like the vast majority of my produce, most of my groceries come from Costco, and I think they do carry goat milk feta, but it's way more expensive, and it's like never on sale. Okay, so here we are. Time to check the temperature. As I get another face full of steam. Okay, so this chicken's looking pretty good. Did I say a boot again?
Serving tray is on the fridge. That Denby one, if you want that one.
No, it's not going to be deep enough. That's also what she said. Stick thermometer. I'm going to go in at the thickest part by the bone. Go ahead. Someone's going to say it. I want this to be 165. At least. We're just over 170, 175. Yeah, these are cooked. And they look cooked, right? Like they have that nice brown. Yeah, you should always get the thickest part of the bone in there. Otherwise, you're just not doing it right. Is that what you're saying, real Farina? I just want to make sure. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Shame on everyone, starting with this guy. Okay, I'm just gonna get my clean tongs. See, because this is contaminated with the raw-ish chicken, so I'm not gonna use it anymore. I'm gonna get just a little spoon. Slotted, not slutty spoon. What am I missing?
Sorry, I don't understand why you're transferring it.
Oh, because I still have to cook the potatoes more. The question from the studio audience is, why the heck am I transferring the chicken over?
I thought you said something about contamination. I'm like, it's been in the oven.
Oh, the cross-contamination is why I'm not using my other tongs to move the potatoes around, or the chicken around. Is there something else? I need to turn my naughty word filter off because I'm missing.
Wait, you can't see any of this?
I can't see what exactly is a blank spoon.
Slutty spoon.
A slutty spoon.
Yeah, because you said that. It's a slotted spoon.
Did I say slotted spoon or slutty
You said
spoon?
it's not a slutty spoon.
Is that what I said? Oh well. Shame on me. Okay. The one you don't bring to mom's house, that's right. But the one that's way more fun. Right? Okay, so I'm going to take these potatoes and I'm going to transfer them to, I think, the non-sticky pan. Although I'm going to get more tasty bits from the steel. I'm going to go to the steel pan. Just going to transfer everything over. And I do want to scrape all of these sticky bits from this, transfer them over to the other baking container. Hopefully before I start burning myself. Please don't. All these extra little bits are stuck on the pan, loaded with flavor. So I want to transfer as much of the stuff that's not burnt as I can. I want to transfer this over because it's just bursting with flavor. There's a reason why deglazing a pot is so yummy. Okay, so some of these potatoes, they're already browned, but I want them to get a lot more crispy. I want them to brown up a lot more. So I'm going to turn the oven up to broil. And then these potatoes are going to go back in. I want to make sure they're completely coated in this beautiful juice. And then I'm going to take this beautiful juice and drizzle it over the chicken.
You like it a juice?
So I have to keep an eye on the stove just to make sure nothing burns. So please don't let me forget. In the meantime, we have some olives. Big old pieces of garlic. I'm gonna really quickly trim out some of these pits. You can just run the edge of the knife halfway through, go around the olive very gently. It's easy to cut through these. You don't have to use any real pressure. You don't need a lot of force. And just rotate the knife along the pit. You don't have to push, just let the knife do all the work. Oh, so you get 4 different types of goat cheese at your stores. Yeah, I'm lucky if I can find one. Oopsie. My floor is spotless. Again, I'm not pushing down with the knife. I'm just keeping it against the pit. As long as you go about halfway through, you can just break it apart and pop the pit out. Somebody needs to remind me to take a look at the potatoes so I don't burn them.
Check the potatoes.
That's beautiful. Needs a couple more minutes. My God, they're looking perfect.
Just
Okay.
like you.
Oh, you're sweet. Hydrate time, yeah, it is. And even though I remove all the pits myself, and I'm very, very careful, I always tell my guests, always, 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 assume that there's pits in the olives. Yeah, the Amish do a lot of things right. Weird Al totally nailed it with Amish Paradise. Okay.
And these are from the family.
These potatoes, I'm gonna flip these one more time. I want them to look like this, but on both sides. There's a question from the studio.
I was gonna say those olives are from the family farm in Greece.
Oh yeah, these olives are very likely from family farm back in Greece. They've been sitting in a jar in my fridge for months, at least. That was off. Okay, good. Okay, I just want to quickly finish these olives. So it's not a strong cheese, so it's good for a starter. Yeah. I used to think that the pairing of like cheeses and wines and just drinks in general was a little overly pretentious and it was largely irrelevant. It's not. It really isn't.
Oh yeah.
A good pairing can elevate. Rude girl, yeah, you know it, you and me both. There's a lot of things that I don't use because I don't want to risk spoiling it, so it just sits around like a collector's item. And then I joke that it's a collector's item, so I'll never use it. But it's not really a joke. I've had far too many things spoil on me because I didn't want to use it because I wanted to save it for a special occasion, and that occasion never happens. Just like consumables in video games, my heroes don't use power-ups. And then after I finish the game, I'm like, I probably should have used all those power-ups. Would have made everything a lot easier.
But you consider it cheating.
But I consider it cheating too. So these are done. These potatoes are done. So I'm going to move the potatoes to this and transfer the potatoes over to the tray that has the chicken, and then I'm going to take a couple of scoops of this juice that's left over, turn it into a little bit of a sauce, drizzle that on top, finish the salad, and then we're good to go. All of this in the next 7 minutes, so Sudeep can take over. The timing is almost perfect.
motorcycles. Oof. It's very true. Casper's Cloud.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between the power-ups and the consumables. Okay, so this liquid that's strained out, that's just fat with flavor. Like that's liquid gold right there. So I could try to scrape the stuff off the pan. I could strain this out. I actually want everything in here, and all of this is going to end up going on top of the dish. Normally, you just strain this out. I want the extra flavor because there aren't any burnt bits in here.
Hey, you got that right.
You got that right. Yeah, screw autocorrect. Thinks it's so smart. They can go to hell. Okay, so very quickly, I'm just going to give these a coarse chop. Tip of the knife is held in place. It's going to go up B down Z. I'm going to rotate everything once. I could turn the board if I had more room. Just going to give these a quick coarse chop. Boom. And boom. Or opa, if you will. Got a couple of tomatoes. I'm going to... What is that juice called? No, I don't know. I do not know the technical term for the juice that's left over, other than juice.
Rejected from the...
What? So again, with the tomatoes, we can just hold the tip of the paring knife really close to the end and slowly cut into the tomato. We're going to cut this little stem out. I can do the exact same thing with my peeler, which is infinitely safer. And I don't mean infinitely just a little bit, I mean like literally infinitely. I can do the exact same thing with my peeler, going at an angle. Just rotate around. If you want to get rid of the stem, which I always do. And the other thing I like to do is into each of these cavities, this is a little bit of a thing that I like to do. Just give this a little poke into each of the cavities, and then give this a squeeze. Just because I hate adding extra liquid that doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. And the juice from a tomato brings...
Yes, that is fond.
Yes, the technical term apparently is fond. I did not know that. Shame on me. So I squeezed most of the juice out. What's left has flavor.
It's French for base.
Sec on a time constraint here.
All right.
Okay. Again, claw. Claw, claw, claw. Hey. We'll do very quickly, throw together a dressing. The dressing is going to have just the basic, the very, very Greek palette of flavors. We're going to have some olive oil. Looking for a lid over here. Got my lemon hiding off to the side. There it is. couple of tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm going to throw in some olive oil, some salt and pepper, oregano. Super simple, super Greek. Bit of salt and pepper. Now, I personally like to go at least 2 to 1 oil to vinegar. Or in this case, my acid, which is the lemon juice. Yeah, is the drinking age 21 all over there? Here it's 18 in my province. I think it's 18 in Quebec and Manitoba. Sudeep, it's 19 there, right, in Ontario? Just a tablespoon of oregano. This stuff goes a long way. Yeah, 19 in Ontario. My first memory of the church up in Thompson was somebody giving me shots of Seagrams. Like, I grew up around alcohol, so it was never a big deal. And I'm sure the majority of people from Europe are in the same boat. A boat, if you will. So this dressing, ultra simple. Just super basic Greek flavors. Olive oil, lemon, oregano, salt and pepper. Give it a shake. And that's it. I'm going to plate this up, take a picture for DJ Nouveau, and send everything off over to Sudeep. Sudeep, you mostly ready? Take my time. Okay. One thing I absolutely love about this Twitch community, absolutely love it. The other night I did some content that was off the beaten path for me. I was a little concerned that there would be some complaints about language. And not a single person complained, and a number of people appreciated. It was an old school hip hop and rap night, like 80s and 90s, and it wasn't the radio friendly cuts, it was all the originals, and not a single person complained, and a lot of people were really happy that the originals were being played in the way it was meant to be played, and it was just, not to bring up like a hot button topic, but it was very refreshing to see. Okay, so this salad, super rustic. I can just grab a spoon and just drop it on here. I can mix it up. I know what DJ Nouveau wants. She just wants it to look like this. Again, super rustic, right? Like zero effort given to presentation. When I say zero, I mean really, really really close to zero effort in the presentation. Yeah, Sudeep, it was a ton of fun. I don't know if I'll be able to do that again. I am going to do some music once a month, so it'll be a while before I get back to the hip hop and rap. Just a little bit of dressing. Not too much, because this stuff is packed with flavor. And now,
That's awesome. Potato juice.
just gonna hit the chicken with some of this juice. And grab some of these pan drippings. This would become some sort of a gravy normally, but ain't no one got time for that. Okay. So in all seriousness, if I wasn't babbling for an extra 2 hours, this would have been done start to finish, an hour 15, give or take. Serves 8. And did any of this look at all difficult? I mean, the ingredients are a little pricey, but nothing here was outrageously weird. You don't need the feta, you don't need the olives, you can just use any vegetables. Throw some olive oil, lemon juice, oregano. There's your Greek dressing. Whatever veggies you have on your plate, just call it a Greek salad. I won't tell if you don't tell. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to take me a picture. And then give it to DJ Nuvo before she bites me. Feed me! Feed me! Okay, taste test coming up. Now, if I wanted to be extra hardcore, I think the last time I did this outside of a stream, I cooked some fresh bread. Oh, I'm learning English. Get some sleep. I'm going to go feed the Nuvo. 1 second. Opa is right.
Guess what I'm eating first?
The potatoes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Of course she's eating the potatoes first. Best part. I hope she enjoys.
Yummy.
Yeah. I'm going to say it again. Simple ingredients, no gadgets, no technique, no fancy technique.
And super yummy.
And super yummy and reasonably healthy. And for anyone that's doing keto, skip the potatoes. Well, real Thurine, it's not scripted either. Like I've made some things that DJ Nuvo wasn't super thrilled with on stream, but for the most part, she likes my cooking. So
And I'm
she's very picky. She's very picky. Anyways. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Thank you, Shock, for putting all this together.